Hello, it's good to be back again. And today we'll be looking at identity and access management. Um, cool stuff, trust me. Every stuff is cool actually, but you want to be concerned about how you manage access to resources and also how you administer access to resources which you have in your environment. This is one of the solutions that AWS Cloud actually provides. You also find solutions that like Cognito and a couple of other ones which the Federation service can be used to have that federation. An overview about around access to resources. So quickly, let's jump into IAM. Why the hell is IAM anyways? Identity and access management, as you can see right there on my slide, provides centralized user and access permissions management to resources in AWS cloud. So we want to have visibility, which is one of the strong tenets of zero trust, visibility. So IAM gives you strong visibility. It also provides the creation of user, assigning them to groups, attaching policies with a fine-grained access control mechanism, and also prevent or present a streamlining of access using roles. That's one very useful thing I find myself using over and over in this serverless work, kind of like the roles. A user can assume a role based on a job function, and you can enable identity federation for console management, API access, and also access to other critical resources. Now, why do you need all this? You cannot secure what you do not have visibility around, or what you do not know what is on your environment. So you want to have visibility, you want to know, you want to have that clarity, which can also help you improve on your security. IAM is one of such solution that can help you do that. Your conventional Active Directory, I'm sure that if you ring a bell, you can also find solution like that in AWS Cloud. But similar to what that would do, federation, that's what IAM would do to you or give to you. So for today's session, we will be having this quick overview. We'll manage users and groups in IAM, inspect IAM policies and groups. We'll add a user to a group, and also using the concept of least privilege, being able to streamline what we want the user to do specifically, that role-based access control based on their job function. Then also we'll be using the IAM URL. Then also we'll audit and validate implementation by the time we're done setting up stuffs. So enough with my chat. I'm going to put this in the background and go into the meats, as I know you love the meats. So this is the account which we have. Okay, great. Right off the bat, we can see that we've got 4 users, group, 5 users, 22 roles, 2 policies. So having this dashboard gives you that quick understanding. I'm going to start with the users. So if I click on users, let's just review. We can see we've got this AWS student, roots, then we've got user 1, 2, 3. Now each of these users have different actually configuration set up for them. So we'll start with reviewing user 1. Let's click on user 1. Once that loads, we will see all that assigns, all that applies to user 1. We can now start auditing or reviewing. Now, whilst there are a couple of solutions that we can use to run audit on this, I'm sure if you've been following up my YouTube channel, you see I've used a couple of them. Right here off the bat, you can also do your review. I can see the permissions. Currently there are no permissions. We can add an inline permission for specific function, or we can add normal AWS predefined permission, but no permission currently. Over there, the group, we can see this user also does not belong to any group. Right here in tags, we can just see a basic lab name tag, then the customer name, then security credential. Also reviewing that, we can see this user has a console URL, so this user can log in, actually sign in via console. There is no MFA setup, not okay, but again, this user is a console user. Okay, sign-in certificates, there's none, as well as there are no access keys, no SSH credential, no HTTP Git credential also stored for this user. We can also use the access advisor here to have clarity as well, because this can help us understand the status of this account. Well, for this moment, this is what this user account looks like. Now we can clearly see everything which we want to see here, but again, that's not all. We don't have this user belonging to any group. But let's go see if we have groups. From our overview, we found groups, remember? So let's see the kind of groups we do have. Takes a while to load. I'm just going to wait for that to load. So we can see that we've got some groups. We've got the Ec2 admin, Ec2 support, QL read only, S3 support. Now permissions are defined. Users, there is a user here. Then the creation time is also being shown there. So we will start by maybe looking at the Ec2 support group. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to click on Ec2 support. We'll have the summary page loaded. Right off the bat, the summary page gives us a high-level overview. There are no users in this group. Let's go check if there are permissions assigned to this group. Remember, you put users in, you create users, put users in groups, then assign permissions to group. That way, if the user leaves the group, the permission does not apply to the user in that context. Hence, you don't want to assign permission directly to users. That wouldn't be a better way to approach access policies or permissions. So we can see anybody who belongs to this group will only have Amazon EC2 read-only access. Now I won't be assigning direct permission to users, but rather within the group. So if you're in this group, you have this. Now whilst this is it comes pre-built in Amazon, more like we can also add permissions. We can see we can attach policy or create inline. Now why would you need inline? Like I mentioned passively whilst I was explaining, inline will help you specify specificity or assign specificity based on the permission you want to assign. So let's just review this. I can click on this right here off the bat, and it's going to give me the JSON template, so we can quickly look at it. We see the version, the statement, the effect. This permission is actually allow. You can have an effect to deny as well. The action is EC2 and we're specifically describing. So the resource is asterisk. When you see asterisk here, it means anybody who belongs to this group should have EC2 read access on any resource. Okay, is that what you want to do? Are you okay with that? Or you want to specify specificity, the resources you want them to be able to access right here in the permission. Okay, you want to be sure again. Now the effects we can see on this, we can clearly see it's allowed, and also based on the action for elastic load balancing described. We also have this asterisk here again, all resources elastic load within the elastic load balancer. Then again we have another effect allow here, and the action is for CloudWatch metric, CloudWatch get metric stack. So this user should be able to have access, read access to all this, but not write access anyways. Then the resource again is asterisk there. Then we also have auto scaling group here, and this user has access. So anything within the EC2 instance that covers all this described here, this user, trust me, has got access to them. Okay, if that's okay with you, then it's pretty fine. It's not bad. But again, let's go review another one. Let's go back and see maybe the S3 support group. I'm going to click on the S3 support group, do a quick review here. There are no users within this group as well, but let's see the permissions. Here you have S3 read-only access. Again, I probably wouldn't have clicked on this. I don't like this loading up. I just like viewing it inline there, but I think I'm just going to put a drop down there so I can do my explanation, save me some time. So for this, we can see we have the effect is allow. Again, it could be denied. The action we're doing S3 gets, so they can get content in the bucket, they can list content in the bucket, they can use lambda function to actually carry out the same get and list via lambda function. Okay, but this is just what they have. Now I would say this is pretty okay if the user does not need permission to modify or change the content of the buckets. This is just okay for them to carry out the job role. Okay, now we've seen what it looks like to streamline. Let's go see the one that is admin. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to shut down this window. Then I'll go to the Ec2 admin. Let's see what the admin is got under here. No user, but under permission again, we've got Ec2 admin policy. Now let's compare what the Ec2 admin policy will look like. So if you look at this already off the bat, I'm seeing the resources, everything. I can see the action specified here. You can describe, you can start an instance, you can stop an instance. You can also have the entire CloudWatch alarm metric. Okay, the effect is allowed. So we can see how this differs from the other one we saw within the EC2 user group. Again, be sure what you're doing, and that's the best approach to handling access. Okay, next we're going to consider a business case scenario where we have been asked to create users, put them to group, and give them specific permissions to only do specific job tasks. So we'll simulate what that looks like, which is what you'll be doing if you're going to be working with this stuff in an on-prem or your enterprise environment. All right, let's get right at that. Okay, so right here is our business case. We have seen these groups and these users, so we've been asked to administer these users because we just got them enrolled in the company. So these users should be added to these groups as defined or described in this document, then with these permissions. Okay, great. So we're going to start with this and seeing how we can use IAM to manage or federate access to resources. Okay, so the first thing which we're going to do is to add these users to the groups. Let's quickly go back to our IAM. Now I'm going to go out of this. I'm just going to go back to groups. So we will start with the first group, which will be the S3 group, or which one is described in the documentation. Yeah, S3 support user 1 has been employed to be an S3 support. So we will click on S3 support. Pretty easy stuff to do. And we will just, right here we can add user. We should see the users which we have in the account. So we're going for user 1. We select that. We'll add user. So we've just added user 1 to this group. So which means user 1 will assume the permissions that have been assigned to this group. And for this context is S3 read-only access. We'll repeat the same thing. We'll go back to the EC2 group. We'll do that for user 2. User 2 should be in the EC2 support group. So we'll click on EC2 support. Then we will add user 2. Click on add user. User 2 will be added here. Again, once the user is added, it takes effect immediately. So this user will have assume this role or this permission, sorry, not role, within this group context. So we'll go back to group and repeat the same thing for user 3, who happens to be the group admin. So we will select user, add users, add user 3. So user 3 is EC2 admin. So they automatically will assume the permissions here to be able to carry out this job role within the account context. Okay, now this is the first part of this. The second part will be now for us to see if we can sign in as one of these users to test and see if those permissions that we've assigned been taken effect. Then we'll also try to maybe modify one or two of the permissions to see if that will allow us to still be able to carry out the job role. Okay, let's commence our test with user 1. So I'm going to click on user 1. Got the user here. Then we will try to copy the sign-in URL for user 1 and open maybe a incognito tab to see if we can probably try that. So I'm going to open incognito window here. Just put that by the side. Then this takes a while to load. We'll wait for that to finish loading. Okay, so we will copy the URL, the console URL for this user, and go to our incognito browser, paste this in here. Let's try to see if we can sign in at this user. I've got the password for that user right here. I'm just going to copy that password. So let's wait for this to load. Okay, it's downloading. So the user is user 1. We'll just verify that name is correct, user 1. Then the password, I'm going to paste the password which I have and attempt to sign in with this credential. Okay, I'll come back when it's downloading. So okay, so we've been able to sign in as user 1. Now we will test our action. Remember user 1 from the description here. User 1 is S3 support. So let's try to maybe do stuff that is outside that job role for user 1 and see if the user 1 can actually do that. So we will go in, which we are in here, we'll go into S3, and the specific permission described is read-only access. So let's go into S3, wait for this to load, come back to you guys. So we can see some buckets in here. Let's try to maybe play around. We know this user shouldn't be able to do anything stupid, but let's just try as a malicious user, or that user access has been stolen by some funny guys and they want to try to maybe carry out nefarious activity within the context of their accounts, not knowing that we've actually set up policies to manage what that account is able to do. So first we will try to maybe carry out an action. Select this, try to delete this content in the bucket. So let's see, deleting, okay, cannot be undone. Oh, we're fine, we're just playing around. So let's type in permanent delete there. We remember the user only has read access, so we'll test and see if that user can do more than that. Okay, it's trying to delete stuff. We'll wait for this. If it deletes, we'll let you know. Oh, okay, we're continuing to improve. Fail to delete, information will no longer be available. Okay, just look around and understand what is happening here, by the way. So right off the bat, we can see that this user is not able to delete the content. I'm going to close this window. Let's go try something else. Let's say this user tries to go around doing EC2 stuff that he's not allowed to do. Remember, this user is just for S3 specific. So let's click on EC2 and see if this user can create an instance or do something. Okay, so just playing around, we can right there see that we got that red flag there. You're not authorized to perform this operation. So this user cannot even list the content of the EC2 instances we have. Talk more trying to do anything within this EC2 context. Well, this is just what I'm going to call this a short, pretty much showcasing how it is to easy to do this stuff, create the users, put them in group, assign permissions, restrict them, and then also we can also do roles here at this point. If we go back in here, we can use roles as well to set specificity around maybe still the same access. What we want, the user assumes the role, they will be able to do specific what is described within the context of the role, and anything outside that role they cannot do. Well, that's a better way to go. Thank you for your time, and I hope you love this content. Please, if you do, like and subscribe. We've been doing lots of stuff around AWS cloud, and I hope you've been enjoying the content. Thanks for the wonderful feedback as well, and I'll see you in the next recording. Have a good day. Bye.